Hi guys, not sure where this comes in, tutorial maybe, or educational, something like that. Basically, sometimes when you're working on gearboxes, there's a lot of variance, especially with like version 2s, that sort of thing, between the different manufacturers of parts. So you get there's so many different version 2 shell casings. It's not just they're all the same, whereas a lot of players think that they're all the same, but they're not. You get some with thicker casings, some with thinner casings, some that are easier, some that aren't so easy, some bearings as well. Bearings are different sizes. You've got the actual 6mm, 7mm width, but then you've also got the actual surface lip, which comes under its own measurements, and usually if you dig deep enough you can find the exact measurements of the bearings. Usually you'll either get one with a lip, be about I don't know, 0.3mm pronounced lip, or it'll be a flush fit bearing. Either way, you're gonna have to obviously shim up differently, depending on how high or how low you shim. Sometimes that can then sort of potentially push against the actual casing, and obviously it's not all casings have the holes exactly the right position, top and bottom, so they beat up. Sometimes they'll be at a slight angle, and obviously that's then going to affect the gears. So you then might potentially have to shim the gear up slightly higher, or potentially take off some material from the casing. So you've got all these factors and stuff that could come into that are separate on top of shimming. So there are all kinds of things you can look for, and this is just something you can do. Assemble just the gears. Forget the anti-reverse latch, forget the cylinder set, forget everything apart from the switch, a trigger and some gears. Then mount the grip and the motor, and then you can see the gears inside there. I know it sounds like a lot of faffing about. You think, why not just assemble it all? But right now you've got no strain on the gear assembly at all. Right, so after you've done obviously the manual check on the shimming to make sure it's free and clear and not hitting anything, you can then do a stress test, so to speak. Basically just hold down the trigger after connecting up a battery like here, and then watching the gears spin. Sometimes you get a not quite fitting perfect because of the misalignments of holes and stuff for the gears, so they're not sticking or anything, but they're not quite as smooth as they like. So you just think to yourself, well, maybe if I run them for a bit, maybe they'll bed in a little bit, and that's what you can do here. You've got no strain whatsoever really on the actual motor, so you can run it for a long period of time before it even gets hot. And you can just bed in the gears. So obviously, yeah, just put it in like that. Even to the point when you can start testing things like motor height, where while it's running, you can actually move this up and down to check the motor height. You'll actually start to hear, obviously, when it's too tight or when it's too loose. I've been doing lots of things like experimenting with different. Because there's obviously so many different grips, so many different motor ends, motors now, experimenting with things like lowering the end grip heights, or possibly altering the motors even, so that you have to be able to have too far out and too close in. If you don't have either of them, then how do you ever know that you've got the perfect motor height going on? Just having it just working isn't good enough for me. You have to find too far away, too close, and then that when it is sounding right, and it isn't either of those, that it's perfect in the middle. You can also check the switch there. Now that it's in this position, so you can actually see it operating backwards and forwards. So if you do have any switch issues or trigger issues or anything like that, now's the time when you can actually fault find it. So moving this ever so slightly, the selector plate, we're now pushing the cut-off lever into play. Whereas obviously up until now we've had it in full auto mode. So now that it's in single mode, you should be able to just pull the trigger once, and you'll actually see the gears come around. They'll hit the cut-off lever. You'll feel it because you're having to hold it in place right now, and then you'll actually see the trigger there disconnect. So that one there. So it's a really good visual cues here, you know, so for testing. So plus it helps gun techs, you know. Sometimes they read on paper, if you know what I mean, and they say that they understand how the cut-off lever operates and stuff, but now you can actually see it happening and feel it happen as well. So see how it disconnects it there, and you just get a single cycle. So it's so yeah, it's a great little tool, this, if you know what I mean, for checking and testing it, and then stressing the gears out and just making sure that they are operating before you add the strain of the spring and all the other stuff to potentially block what you can actually see is going on. So I just thought I'd let you guys know. Just a nice little tool there for you know, any gun techs out there, or people, you know, having some, you know, issues with shimming or trigger contacts or motor heights, that kind of thing. You know, you can do it all before you add the top portion in. Alright, cool. Hope that helps some people out.